Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm really excited to have with me Phil Shouse, bass player of the Ace Frehley Band. We'll discuss what it's like working with Ace, and we'll also discuss what it was like playing in the Gene Simmons Band, as well as his time in Accept. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. One of my favorite parts of it is when Phil and I decided to fanboy a little bit over our love of Star Wars. That was a lot of fun. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. Now, without further ado, let's get started with my conversation with Phil Shouse. All right, hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. Today, I'm really excited to have with me a special guest. Kiss fans know him from the Ace Frehley Band, the Gene Simmons Band. Rock fans know him from his time playing with Accept. And if you're in the Nashville area, you certainly know him from the Rock and Roll Residency. Everybody, welcome to the show, Philip Shouse. How you doing, Phil?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Excellent. No, I'm so excited to have you on. So, obviously right now we're going through a little bit of a difficult time in the world. Everybody's kind of locked up in the house. And it seems like every couple of days you've got new videos coming up online. I think yesterday you had one for a room service and you're standing on a bed, and a couple of days ago you did a Beatles one and there's like 5 of you all over the place. And I'm like, all right, this guy's having a lot of fun with this. Are you enjoying doing those kind of videos?
I really am. That all came from, not just boredom, but needing to do something. And I realized that if I'm going to be in the house for the rest of the year, I'm going to do some work. So I got a green screen over there now.
Okay.
So half of my living room is now like a film studio.
Okay.
So I've got a 10 by 10 green screen nailed to the wall. Well, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, sure. Oh, wow, check that.
It's right there.
That's great.
So I found that on Amazon super cheap and put that up. So I've just been kind of busy being like creative, doing videos like that. But the purpose for that was to do, videos for Mutt Merch, my t-shirt line.
Yep.
Any kind of promo photo or video I need for anything I'm doing, I can do myself. Okay. So with that, I'm learning Final Cut Pro video editing.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just kind of a work tool.
Sure.
Like, well, I could put one of these to good use,
or
stupid use.
Had you ever done anything like that before? Because like the Beatles one where there was like 5 of you in the clouds, I'm like, this is hilarious. I love this.
Yeah, no, all this is kind of a learning experience.
That's
great.
And
YouTube is great. YouTube is the best teacher in the world.
Absolutely.
Because you just go in there and type in, how do I do this, whatever, and it'll pop up, videos telling you how to do it. So
sure.
Any snag I ran into, I went to YouTube and did that. And I'm getting into home recording, so I'm upgraded to Logic.
Nice.
So I did all that myself, the flying thing. And
right.
yeah, I'm just kind of making the best use of the time as I can.
Yeah, well, you're raising the bar. Now I'm like, every time I see a video, I'm like, what's Phil going to do next? So
I know. Now my next one is like,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
do next?
You have to keep topping yourself. So,
yeah.
You mentioned just now, staying at home for the rest of the year. And, this Kiss fans and Ace fans last week got really excited. It was like, oh my God, Ace shows. And now I'm hearing yesterday, oh my God, Ace shows are canceled. Do you know what's the story? Is the shows happening or not?
Yeah, I haven't heard about any cancellations. I did hear, of course, heard about them popping up last week.
Right.
Now I'm really bad at this, but I'm not sure if some of those were rescheduled shows, because I know we had some that were in June,
right,
that did get moved, and I'm not sure if those were the ones, but they may be new gigs. These might be. To me, it seems early, but if those gigs happen and they stay on the books, I'll be there.
Okay.
But yeah, it seems early to me. Like, 'cause we're already almost in July. And people still are, leery about going out and nobody's doing shows. And so,
right.
And we, the residency had a show, booked. It was a show it was a tornado benefit, because Nashville had a tornado before.
I was going to ask you about that. Yes, I know. I remember that.
Before we as a society collapsed.
Yep.
we had a tornado here in Nashville, devastating tornado.
Yep.
So we had a show put already kind of on the books. It was going to be an insane guest list.
That was like mid-March time period, right? Like March 13th.
It was early mid-March.
Right.
And the guest musicians we had on that were going to be great. So it turned into a tornado benefit. We had all this great raffle stuff and got all that together. And then from the week the tornado happened to the weekend of our show, everything was canceled. So we canceled our show the day before. It was on a Saturday, so we canceled on the Friday. We went down to the wire, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Sure.
And we finally just went, we got to call it off. So luckily we didn't catch any heat from that. Everybody understood. So, yeah, we got that show to do, and I'm in no hurry to do it. I don't want to. I'm really not any. I don't have to be like the first one out because
Absolutely.
the first line of the Army is one that got the arrows in the chest. So
Right.
I'm gonna let some other folk get out there and do it first.
That's very
I'm
true.
fine with waiting. There's no. I'm not really in a hurry to do it.
Do you know, was Ace the driving force behind getting those shows on the schedule?
I'm not sure if it was Ace, if it was the booking people, because I think they were new gigs. I don't remember seeing
That's
those
what I
cities
thought.
on the things.
Right.
Because it wasn't rescheduled ones.
Yep.
So I was kind of shocked to see anything, especially around that time.
Sure.
So,
absolutely. And my thought was, look, I'd love for concerts to come back, but I want it to be safe. And my thought was, Ace is not a young guy, and that's not a knock. Look, we all going to get there one day, but he's at a higher risk than you and I, let's just say the average middle-aged person, so.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And a lot of the bigger tours this summer were guys like that.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Kiss, Crew, Def Leppard.
Absolutely.
All those things, with White Snake, Foreigner, all those shows are guys, maybe a little bit younger, but around that age.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. Everybody's got to be careful and just be smart.
Yeah, look, I look forward to seeing Ace. I look forward to seeing you guys again. But it's just that I want to see you guys again. I don't want it to be one and somebody gets sick, God forbid, So
right, that was what we had. That was what we had to think about with that tornado benefit show.
Sure, of course.
We had people flying in to see the show and everything, and we thought it was already getting kind of bad. And then we thought that if one person gets sick from this, that I couldn't handle that.
Of course,
our show was where we've had people coming in from different states, and if something happened, we couldn't
feel
handle
responsible.
it. So that's what we got called. I would totally feel responsible, and everybody felt the same way. So it was just the best thing to call it off. So
absolutely. And how's the area there now? Obviously, I know it was hit with the tornado, and then COVID hit, and the Nashville news went away. How is the city doing?
Yeah, if you still drive through some of the areas, there's still damage because things we're in phase 2 of our reopening process.
Yep, us too.
So people are starting to get out. Restaurants are a fraction of the capacity.
Yep.
Construction probably has been able to work most of the time from being essential. But yeah, there's still parts that are still tarps on the roofs and things like that. So it hit really bad. It really, 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 really hurt a lot of people and a lot of people's property. So, but yeah, it's still damaged, but everybody's doing what they can to kind of, now it feels a little bit of normalcy's coming back. So maybe that can speed up a little.
Absolutely. So I know last week also Ace had started talking about putting out new material next year. Are you guys involved in that at all? Are you going to be part of the recording process?
Man, I'd love to. I can't say which song, but I can tell you that we're on one song on Origins, on the new Origins Volume 2.
Excellent.
So yeah. And it was really fun. That's all I can say.
Fair enough.
I'm not
I understand.
sure when that was coming. Hopefully that's going to come out soon because I've heard a couple more. Ace played us some more tunes off of that.
Okay.
And it sounds great.
Right. Absolutely.
It really sounds good. We heard a couple of the more tunes, and I'm really proud of how ours came out. We sang it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, he really trusted us a lot doing that. We did it here.
Oh, nice.
And he just, they sent us the tracks and said, "Do it."
Right.
And we're like, okay. We'll do it. But yeah, I would love to do something. I'm always down for recording, especially with somebody that I play with like that. And, to be on an Ace record is a thrill.
Absolutely.
To think about that my name's going to be on that, it's like,
Right.
12-year-old me would be, 44-year-old me is flipping out. 12-year-old me would really be flipping out.
Absolutely. So you grew up a Kiss fan, obviously, right?
Yeah, a little bit later than the rest of the guys.
Okay.
I got into it when I was early high school.
Okay.
Like early high school. I just didn't. My older brother was my introduction into heavy rock and classic rock and rock music, pretty much rock and roll. And he didn't have any Kiss records, so I just didn't have a way in. And then so my friend Brad McCorder made a tape for me. He had the Kiss pinball machine in like the late '80s.
Nice. Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, he had one of those.
Right.
And so he made a tape for me, and it just clicked. It was Deuce was first.
There you go. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it just hit me, and I got it. I just understood everything, and it really did. Ace, I played lead guitar because of Ace, because he showed me what the pentatonic scales could be used for. I was learning those in guitar lessons and going really frustrated because I couldn't sound like Eddie Van Halen with these things.
Right, okay.
And then I heard Deuce the solo and went, that's what I'm learning in my lessons.
Right. Nice.
So it's great. And I just got it. I get the music, of course, the look, and just the energy. And then they also, the more I got into it, the more I learned about them and their story, the more they influenced, my work ethic, my self-esteem. I got all of it. And it really hit me. Like Kiss fans like you and everybody watching this and listening to this will get that.
Absolutely.
They do. It's like the Kiss and the Beatles affected every single cell of me. Other bands did too, of course, like musically, but nobody did like Kiss and the Beatles.
So who else were you listening to growing up besides Kiss and the Beatles? You mentioned Van Halen.
Yeah, Van Halen. Aerosmith was my first favorite band.
Okay,
that was my brother's favorite band. My brother Kevin.
Okay.
And so them, and then when he went to college, I loved the Police.
Nice.
I was like the second grader that was listening to Zenyatta Mandata when nobody else knew what it was.
Yep.
And I remember it was funny because in '86 the Monkees kind of their 20th anniversary hit.
Okay.
So that was my introduction to '60s rock. So the Beatles happened because the Monkees happened for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Kind of reverse in real life.
Sure. Right. Exactly.
And I remember another thing I think in '85 or '86 was the Aerosmith "Walk This Way" with Run DMC.
Absolutely, that was huge.
All the kids in sixth grade were like talking about this new band Aerosmith, and I was already the music snob. At 11 years old.
Yeah.
We're not a new band.
We're not a new band.
I'm listening to this House 3.
So were you into Aerosmith with their '80s stuff?
No. I am now.
Okay.
I wasn't then. I was into Toys, Rocks, and Draw the Line
right.
as like a toddler.
Sure.
And then I loved those all through grade school and middle school. And then when I got into high school, I think I got Pump.
Okay.
Was the one I got. I skipped Permanent Vacation, got Pump, and loved that one. Then saw them on that tour. But I loved that. Black Sabbath was a favorite. Led Zeppelin was a favorite. And then I got into metal like thrash, like Metallica. And
nice.
I loved Metallica, loved Anthrax, loved Slayer, loved the Big Four, loved Megadeth. But yeah, I got into all that stuff. I was always a classic rock guy, even when the grunge thing hit and the hair metal thing hit. I didn't really like that either.
Okay.
I wasn't into that. I was just such a classic rock. That was, and the Beatles, of course, in there too, always. But I was just always into that stuff.
Sure.
AC/DC, obviously, so.
So all through the '90s, you were still listening to the Sabbaths and the Van Halens, and
I was still a '70s kid, and all through the *90s too. Yeah, I tried to get into that. So I did like some. I love Nirvana. I still do that. Those records are great. And but then I tried to get into some more of it, and a couple of groups stood out, but I couldn't for the most part. It's like this. I want to listen to this better.
Yeah, no. In the '90s, I was the same way, except for Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots. To me, were the two that I was able to listen to.
STP were great. I loved Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains. I loved them. And then I had some records of some other bands in there, but I just couldn't. It didn't hit me like that stuff did.
Sure, absolutely. So, what age did you start playing an instrument?
I kind of started playing my brother's drums at age 3.
Okay.
He. So this is probably like 78, and he's in high school.
Okay.
And we lived in Wisconsin, and he played drums in a polka band called the Polka Tears.
Okay.
So him being the drummer, they practiced at my house or at our house.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would put me on his drum set and put his big headphones, big green headphones on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would play drums without the pedals because my feet couldn't reach the floor. He would put my on there, and I would play the Aerosmith records. So I was kind of already playing drums at that point. And then at 5th grade, I started saxophone because I couldn't play drums because the rule we lived in Nebraska at this point, and the rule in the Nebraska school system band program was for drummers, you had to take 2 years of piano for the xylophone.
Okay.
And I was absolutely like, what? I can play Wipeout. I couldn't believe that I couldn't play drums. I was like, I can blow these guys away.
Right.
And he said, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. Well, okay. So I had seen Blues Brothers and loved that soundtrack too.
Okay.
I loved the Blues Brothers soundtrack. And that's what turned me on to anything blues is from that movie and that record. And so I thought Blue Lou Marini, their sax player with the long hair and mustache, was the coolest guy on earth. So I picked saxophone because of Blue Lou Marini because he was so cool.
Okay.
And so I played saxophone all through school and all through, I played in college and honor band, all-state band, marching band, jazz band, pep band, band. If there was a band, I was in it.
Right, nice.
Playing sax. And then I got a guitar as a bribe from my mom because we were moving to Alabama when I was 12. This is 88. And I really was bummed about moving again. And so I'd always wanted a guitar, and I was not having a guitar because that would mean I'd be in a band. Right. And my life would just go to shit from there.
Right, of course.
And so I was feeling so bad, and I was really bummed out about moving. So Mom that was my bribe, give me the guitar. I wish I had it because I can't find any photos of me with it, and I've never seen another one like it. It was it was an Epiphone. It was a hollow body. It was kind of red, but it wasn't like a Casino or a 335 shape. It was something really different, but it was hollow body and had a bar on it, but it wasn't like a Bigsby. It was very, very different, and I really wish I could at least find a photo of it so I could find out what it was. But that was my first guitar, and took some lessons in Nebraska, and then kept up lessons from Jeff Beasley when we moved to Alabama. And Jeff was like hair out to here, great, incredible guitar player, still teaching guitar in North Alabama, by the way, too. Nice. But he was like my first encounter. He and the guy that owned the store, Greg Bozeman, he owned GT's Music, and those two had long hair. Right. Those were my two first guys, like real rock guys that I ever encountered as in real life. Right. Okay. And talk about shell shock. I'm 13, braces, super short hair, completely terrified of anything different. And man, those guys were the coolest to me. So that was my introduction to rock guys. And those dudes they were great. Right. So do you still at all play drums or sax, or did you give that up once school and all was done? Man, I sold my sax a couple years ago. I had one still, and I would pull it out every once in a while. I was doing this. I still do this thing occasionally to Wings. It's like a McCartney tribute. With my friend Mike Vargo, who's a great McCartney. He's a right-handed player that learned lefty to do McCartney. Nice. Wow. So he's really good. And so I was playing sax on that on Jet and Silly Love Songs, but only for 2 parts. Okay. The very end of Jet. Beep, 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 right. Yep. That so it was, but only 5 notes at a time. Okay. So I sold that, and drums I haven't really played in a while. Okay. So I never was really. I was only a kid messing around on drums. Gotcha. That could have, from that point, could have really learned to play because I already had the coordination down and everything. But right. So how different my life would have been had I not played saxophone. Oh, absolutely. Right? So there's going to be no sax on Ace's Origins 2 by you. Not by me. Okay, fair enough. Not by me. Unless he wants to get me and then hire somebody else. There you go. That's so funny. Yeah. So you mentioned before that your parents didn't necessarily want you to have the guitar, but once you started to pursue the music industry and the business as you were growing up, were they supportive, or were they like, no, Phil, this is not what we want you to do? They were supportive once they realized that I had no choice. Okay. that it was just, this is what he's going to do, and this is it. I can't, because I was in college, floundering back and forth from just, major to major, moving colleges. Like, I went to like 5 or 6 colleges in like 5 years, and didn't finish anything.
Right.
Didn't even get near a degree because I didn't want to be there, didn't care.
Right.
And so finally, I made the decision to move, and I still was floundering a little bit before I moved to Nashville. I moved to Nashville in 2004. And it was like then I finally finally met people that had music careers, like not big stars, obviously, but like, the blue collar musicians, right, which I didn't really even know existed before I moved up there, but I learned a lot. I was smart enough to listen and like just observe and learn, and I realized I didn't know a thing really about being a professional musician or conducting myself professionally, and I learned all that stuff up here pretty quickly. Right. But once I think a turning point was when they got to go to the Opry backstage. Okay. Because they're both older. My brother that I keep talking about, Kevin, he's 13 years older than me. Okay. And it's only me and him. Gotcha. Yep. So they're older, like for parents from somewhere, but they're a little older. Right. Makes sense. And they grew up in the South too. So they grew up listening to the Opry on the radio. Sure. So the first time I played the Grand Ole Opry was in 2000. Was a year after I moved to Nashville, 2005, with David Lee Murphy, who was my first kind of professional, like for hire gig. Great guy. Okay. Great guy. Loved it. Right. And so I got to play the Opry, and it's like, well, I'm finally doing the Opry. Do you guys want to come? And they came, and at that, a lot of and it was in 2005, and so Porter Wagner was still alive. He's there. William Jimmy Dickens is still alive. He's there. Eddie Raven was there. Okay. Connie Stevens was there. That's the cool thing about the Opry is the people that were from the previous eras of the Opry. Sure. They still come. They still perform. So you can go to the Opry and run into so many people. Sure. I remember one time. Now that time was at the new Opry House, not the new one, but the one they built in the 80s. Okay. But I was doing one at the Ryman Auditorium one time, where it originally was, and I was leaving. So we were kind of done with our set, and I went to our dressing room and got my guitars and everything, and was walking out. So I'm walking out behind the stage, behind this curtain. It's really dark, so I'm looking down, making sure I'm not tripping over any cables or anything. So I'm walking. So I clear the curtain, and I come upon 2 pairs of boots. Okay. One being white, and that means one thing in country. So I look up, and it's Bill Anderson in the white boots and Charlie Pride. Okay. So I just look up, and they're looking, because I came up to them pretty close. Right. Looked up, and just stood there, and they looked at me kind of like, hello. Right. I'm sure I was open mouth, like, hi, and just walked away. That's great. But so you run into people like that back there. But I think my mom and dad kind of maybe had maybe he can do this. Right. After the Opry, that was kind of a moment for them too, where it was like, well, he may be onto something. Right. Well, it's funny because I'm a New Yorker. I've lived in New York my whole life, and for better or worse, my vision of Nashville 20 years ago was nothing but country, right? And I remember the first time I remember saying, oh, wait, rock music's coming out of Nashville was, I have a daughter that's almost 22, and she was into the band Paramore, and they were from Nashville. I was sure. Wait, a rock band from Nashville? I didn't know that. I thought all rock bands came from Los Angeles, right? I was a teenager in the 80s, right? Right. So, but you got to Nashville at like the perfect time, really, right? Because that's when the rock scene was starting. I did, and especially because I did the country for hire thing for 10 years. Okay. About 10 years, but it was a great time for that too, because it was right when those guys and those artists were looking for somebody more like a Skynyrd gunslinger. Okay. Like a Southern rock player, which is my wheelhouse. I mean, that's what I do really, really well. And so they weren't looking for Telecaster chicken pickers anymore. Right. They were looking for guys that looked like me, that wore a Les Paul at their knees and played Marshalls. They loved that. And the sound, and I mean, now it's full blown metal. Right. It's the new Los Angeles to me. Guys with mohawks are playing BC Rich guitars with country acts now. But when I was doing it, it wasn't that far that way yet. Right. You still had to have some sort of Southern sound. That's a lot of alliteration. Some sort of Southern sound. Which country I don't really have, but I have, Southern rock, Almonds and Skinner and all that kind of thing, Blackfoot and that kind of thing, which is great.
Right.
So for me, I got work, and I got work with people, with artists that wanted me to do that.
Makes sense.
I got hired because of how I already looked.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you do that.
Right.
You go do this thing up there. So it was good. Yeah,
Right.
I was doing for 10 years doing that stuff.
Right. Now, to me, as a Kiss fan, you first came on the radar really with the Kiss Cruises, right? For me, at least. And being part of that, was that your foot in the door to start working with Gene from working on the cruises? And how did you guys get chosen to be on the cruises to begin with?
The cruises, the Big Rock Show started doing the cruises. So how I knew Jeremy I've known Jeremy for almost 20 years.
Yep.
And I've known Ryan now for almost 10, and we're all friends because of Kiss. Mm-hmm. So Ryan's is Kiss Cruise related. Ryan called me. He got my number from Bo Bice. Remember Bo?
Oh yeah, from American Idol.
So so I played with Bo and played on a record of his.
Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't realize that.
And so Bo was working with the management studio publishing company that Ryan was working for at the time, Ryan Cook. Mm-hmm. And so Ryan had got asked by Doc, because Ryan knows the McGees and knew all that. Ryan got asked by Doc to bring Big Rock Show on the boat. Mm-hmm. And he's talking to Bo about it, and Bo said, you got to call Phil. You got to call this guy Phil Shouse. Mm-hmm. He's your guy. He said, okay. So Ryan called me, and I'd already heard about the Kiss Cruise, and I was like, I'd already done like the Skinner Cruise, Kid Rock Cruise. I'd already done a couple of those.
Okay.
And realized...
Are those six-man cruises also, right?
Yeah, they were six-man cruises also. Mm-hmm. So I knew about the Kiss one and knew about the cruise thing, and was dying to somehow get on the Kiss, Kiss one. Like, you're kidding me. Mm-hmm. And so Ryan called me to do it with Big Rock Show, but I couldn't because I had touring dates with my gig. I had with my gig with Rodney Atkins. Mm-hmm. I said, man, I cannot do this. This is killing me. Mm-hmm. But the guy that should be in your band lives in my house. Okay. His name is Jeremy. Mm-hmm. So Jeremy was living with me and my wife at that time. Okay. My ex-wife. Mm-hmm. So he was staying with us then. And I said, he's your guy. So Ryan came over that night, and they met. We all met. And so we're friends because of that. Cool. So we got into Gene's band through Big Rock Show, and I went on a couple Kiss Cruises with Big Rock Show, like it's like the crew guy or whatever, just to go. Mm-hmm. And so on one of the most recent Kiss Cruises, Gene asked Ryan to put together a band for him because he'd seen Big Rock Show and liked what they did, and knew that knew that Ryan lived in Nashville, and knew that Ryan knew for hire players, that like us. And he goes, "You pick them, get who you want." Okay. Ron's like, yeah, I know who I'm going to get right now. Mm-hmm. So, the Kiss, the Gene Simmons work, and as it turns, Ace Frehley work, is kind of all goes back to them doing the Kiss Cruise. Mm-hmm. And then Ryan just going, I'm getting Jeremy and Phil.
Right. So, I'll talk first about the Ace thing, then we'll talk some Gene as well. But to me, when you guys joined Ace's band, especially when I look at the year 2018, for me as a Kiss fan, it was one of the most exciting years seeing some Ace shows. Going to the cruise and hearing him do Dark Light, Save Your Love, Two Sides of the Coin, Torpedo Girl. I know there's a few others I'm forgetting as well. For me, that was super exciting. So how was it for you guys as fans? And was any of those difficult to pull off with Ace? What do you guys think of doing those songs?
Oh, doing those tunes was great. We were still really, really new with Ace at that point because we had just done Australia and then done Japan. Yep. And then it wasn't even really, I don't even know if we were the band yet. Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you if you knew during that time. So you didn't know during that time?
I think we may have, because I think what happened was because the cruise happened and then the run of Florida dates got booked after that. So I think when the Florida shows got booked after the cruise, it was like, you guys are the new band. But it wasn't at first. It was Australia, Japan, and then it was just the cruise, and then it went on from there. But learning those tunes was great. That was actually rehearsing for the cruise. Was actually the first time we'd actually rehearsed with Ace.
Okay.
We never did. Wow. I'll tell you how that went down. So we had a gig with Gene in Eastern Canada.
Yep.
We had a gig in Quebec. So we flew from Quebec City to Toronto to Vancouver to Sydney to Adelaide.
Wow.
And then went to the gig.
Oh wow. Okay.
The gig was we didn't have a night off.
Oh God.
The gig was that night. So we had a 36-hour travel day. Went to the hotel. We landed at like 3:30 in the afternoon too. We didn't have time. I mean, we don't do domestic flights that close.
Right.
I can't believe that we pulled that off.
International, right?
It was like, no, we're that night. So we went to the hotel, dumped our gear, really like just delirious, and then went to the thing. And the sound check, Ace's sound check, was a VIP event in front of like 150 fans. So we're actually trying to work through like beginnings and endings. The songs we pretty much knew at that point.
Sure.
Like, we just had to ask a few questions. But arrangements, which one do you do, how you do this, that. We're doing all that in front of an audience. So we're trying to work through things and make sense of what's happening. The show went over okay, and well, for everything happened. But by Sydney on the third show, it was locked in tight. Right. Man, that was that whole show of our set and Gene's set was just, by that we were a locomotive. It was just full speed ahead, just
right, absolutely.
Flying.
And I remember hearing Ace say that hearing you guys do 2000 Man with him and all the harmonies was the clincher for him. He's like, I need these guys in my band.
Yeah, because we didn't even do the Dynasty version. We did the Kiss Unplugged version.
Okay.
Because they sing way more on that. There's a lot more backing vocals on that. And we thought that was more interesting even than the record. So we kind of went off that.
Right.
And then with New York Groove, we did the Answer, the New York Groove, all that stuff. So we figured out ways to do all those things. And I think the vocals is what he liked a lot. And which is great. The three of us definitely, we know what part we are each going to sing. And so we got the harmony thing kind of down and the stage thing kind of down. So Japan, we pretty much did the same set pretty much as Australia.
Right.
And so the cruise was a big deal because we had like 6 or 7 new songs. I mean, and they were songs that he may not have played since he recorded them.
Since he recorded them.
It was Save Your Love was in there.
Yep. Dark Light.
Yeah, Dark Light, Two Sides.
Yeah. Torpedo Girl.
I forget what Torpedo Girl was great. Yes. I love that one.
Yes.
But yeah, that was we crammed a lot and we worked really hard in a day. We had a day to rehearse with him and kind of worked really hard. We had met Matt for the first time that day too.
Right. Okay.
We had never really played or met Matt Starr yet. So that was his first time with us too. So that was good. We worked really hard. And I mean, I know everybody took a beating, but man, to pull all the shows to pull all those songs off that we pulled off, I think so as well as we pulled them off.
I agree. I was there. I was there, and I've seen some of the comments online. People saying, "Oh, Ace forgot the lyrics." Who cares? I'm hearing Dark Light live. I don't care if it's perfect. This is live music. This is rock and roll. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah,
that friggin' rocked.
They apparently never saw one Gene show when Gene forgot the lyrics. We had poster boards with the words this big.
Of course, exactly.
That was Jeremy. That was Jeremy's job because Jeremy had the best handwriting of any of us. So that was his job to do the cheat sheets for Gene.
Right, absolutely. So then after the cruise, I think it was like 2 months later, you guys did the New Jersey Expo and you did the entire 78 solo album. Were you guys happy with that show? Or, how did you guys feel about that?
Really, really, really happy. Really, really happy because it went over really well. We played well, sang well, and then we rehearsed really hard. We rehearsed for 2 days for that too. We rehearsed really hard for that. We worked really hard. Ace worked really hard, and the rehearsals were a lot. The show was great, but the rehearsals were a lot of fun.
Really,
we were in this really, really, really small studio right by Parsippany, right, or by where we were in Jersey.
Okay, yep.
And I think one of the guys in Dillinger Escape Plan owns a studio, and really nice people that were there, really, really great to us. And it was really fun though because it was like everybody just was through like a small amp, like a half stack each. And really loud and hot, and just we'd play it through a couple times, and Ace would tell a story about that particular song.
Sure.
And it was really, really fun. We were all working really hard and really stop, really like kind of microscoping parts. So it wasn't like just run through. It was like really like paying attention to the part, the tones, if the tones are right and all that. So it was really, it was good.
Yeah. And
that was a good time.
And I was at that show also. And I remember I was like, how are they going to pull off I Need Love? I'm in need of love. I'm like, I'm not a musician, even though I have guitars hanging on the wall, but I don't play them. I was like, how are they going to pull this? This sounds difficult to do live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff, Fractured Mirror might have been the toughest one because we have 3 guitar players. There's more than 3 guitar tracks.
Right.
In that song.
Right.
And I forget what we had to do to combine a couple, but we worked it out. In Need of Love was cool because if you can program the delay,
that's why I thought it was.
If you can program that, I think Jeremy was doing that part.
Yeah.
So he programmed his delay to be right on, and once you got that, you're golden.
Then you're golden, right?
That was one of my favorite ones to do because that's a Will Lee bass song.
Yeah,
and I love how the drum interplay with him and Anton on that tune. Sure. So I was looking forward to doing that because I was trying to lock in with a lot of those really. Some of those fills have to be there. And I was kind of really like, yeah, man, we got to do this one here. So that was a fun one for me. I wish we would bring back. Like that one.
So you're setting me up perfect here. So because I was going to ask you. So I'm a longtime Kiss fan. I saw you guys 7 times with Gene. We've seen you at Kiss Expos. Yeah. So we know that you and the guys are capable of pretty much doing any Kiss song, right? So you did all of these different songs with Ace on the cruise at the 78 show in New Jersey. And I'm excited. I'm like, great. We're going to get different set lists every night with Ace, just like we did with Gene.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't happen.
Not quite the same.
What's Ace thinking, man?
Yeah. Well, Gene was really adventurous about that. Anything we throw at him, he would go, sure, let me get the words. And we kind of pulled the Jedi mind trick on Gene. This will blow the whole thing. But when he would come to sound check, which was a lot, he came to sound check a lot. If he didn't have like an appearance to do or anything that day, he was always at sound check.
Right.
And so when we'd get word he was here, we'd start playing something we'd want to play, like Ladies' Room or something like that.
Yeah.
We'd start, and he'd walk in and go, do you guys like that song? We'd go, what are you talking about? Hell yeah, we do. It's fucking great. We love this song. I love this part here. And he'd put on his bass.
Right.
He'd play along and go, okay. It'd be in the set, not in the next night.
Right.
And so that was our Jedi mind trick with him.
That's great.
With Ace, it's a bit tougher. We have to go through the channel with Ace. We got to go through we send it to PJ. Like, what about this song? So we did get in She, and then
Watching
we got
You.
in Watching You was in there. And one of the recent additions, which gave me chill. The first time we did it at rehearsal, at soundcheck, talk about hair out down the arms and the spine, was when we did the Black Diamond ending.
Okay.
So after Cold Gin, after that, the ending of Black Diamond, man, we did that, and he went into the solo,
right?
And which
is classic.
Chills talking about it. And it was perfect.
Yep.
It was
absolutely.
just looking at Jeremy like, oh my god,
right, absolutely.
Crying. It was like, this is great.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a bit more of a tougher thing with that one. What I was hoping was going to happen was after the album, the 78 solo record, the record's only 35 minutes long.
Sure.
So you could put that in the set in its entirety.
Yeah.
And as the centerpiece, and you can still do the hits.
Yes.
You can still come out and do,
Shock Me and
Shock Me.
Right.
New York Groove's on there.
Right. So you don't even have to worry about that. Right.
Rip It Out's on there.
Absolutely.
Snowblind's already on there.
Yep. That's great. Yeah. That's right.
But then you can throw in, the Kiss tunes you want to do. You can throw in Rock Soldiers, but
Absolutely.
that can be the centerpiece of the show. That was what I was kind of hoping to do. Now at Cruise Fest, the one that's not happening now, but Cruise Fest this year, there was going to be a section of the set that was going to be fan picked.
Okay.
So that was, I was kind of looking forward to see what that was going to be.
Absolutely.
So maybe that'll happen next year for Cruise Fest. I know Neil and Joe were really excited about that happening.
You guys think you'll do Cruise Fest next year?
Man, I think once it gets kind of everything gets fixed and announced again, I would love to be there. We had a blast last year at the one doing the Ace set and the one without with the other guests from the other bands. That was a lot of fun. We loved it. It's just a good time, man. It's just always a good time. And now it's like we know everybody that's going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right.
Like we know the crew, we know the non-cruisers, the cruisers. So it's just a good time. It's a good reunion for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping that when Ace gets back to touring, he listens a little bit more to you guys, because I said before I went to 7 Gene shows, and the reason I did is because every night I didn't know what you were going to play. And that was, to me as a fan, was damn exciting. Hey, one night I got Sweet and Dirty Love. I never in a million years thought I'd get to hear that live, you know? And that's a great song.
Several times. We played. I didn't have Asshole, album, which Shannon calls his self-titled album.
That's great.
But yeah, so he played that one, and I was like, that's Tie Your Mother Down.
Right, exactly.
He goes, I had that riff in 1973 or whatever. That's pretty old. May not be an old song, but the riff, I think he had for a long time.
Yep.
So yeah, that was cool. But he was like that. He would throw stuff at us, and we'd throw stuff at him, and of course we would never say no, and like, yeah, we'll do whatever.
Right.
And he was the same way. He kind of like most everything we threw at him, he would go, sure, we'll try.
Right. Absolutely.
So yeah, hopefully. I would totally like to change the setup,
Yeah, I know you guys would.
maybe with all this time, when it gets closer to like confirmed shows, like for sure, we can kind of get something together and like let's change some shit up.
Absolutely,
I'd like to. It'd be fun.
I hope so, because I'll go to 7 Ace shows then if that happens. So
yeah, right. Yeah, totally.
Doesn't Ace realize there's more money by changing up the set list on a nightly basis? I'll travel all around.
It's always a surprise. And looking back on the Gene shows, we never did the same set twice.
I know. That's why I kept going.
Yeah, it was like we always, at least one song was going to be switched.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things I noticed from seeing Ace a number of times is, for whatever reason, the tempos of this song seems to be a little slower than I'm used to, I guess, from the 80s and 90s. And I know Ace was doing that with his band before you guys, so it must be Ace-driven. Somebody told me he does that because it's easier for him to sing as he's gotten older. Is there any truth to that, or is there a reason why the tempos are a little slower?
That does make sense. I can totally understand that, being like kind of a singer sometimes myself. If it's too fast, it can really mess up your breathing, because you're like trying to cram in words and trying to phrase everything right. So if you're used to doing phrasing a certain way, and now you can't hold the breath quite as long, and or you're having to breathe faster, it definitely can mess with that a little bit.
Gotcha.
I know that when we were in Japan and in Australia, we had Christopher Williams on drums. And Christopher wasn't slowing down. We plowed through. If you go back and listen to those Australian Japan shows, they're pretty much like alive 2 tempos.
Sure.
We were ripping some of that stuff. And Ace was, but Ace kept up.
Right.
We were talking about this last night, actually, how like in Japan, we did 2 shows a night.
Sure. Right.
And we were talking about how the second show, and Ace was unsure if he could do it even. He's like, man, I don't know if I can do 2 shows a night. Man, think about the second. The first show was always great. But, man, the second show, he was absolutely on fire. Like, if you can find any one of those second shows, or like listen to both of them.
Right.
Man, second was just, he just came out. If he's uber focused, and he's still razor sharp, man.
Absolutely.
And, there's always moments where it's like, oh my God, 76. In Japan, there were so many of those. Remember, me and the guys would just look at each other like, "Are you hearing this?" It was just, it's just so great, and it was just all the everything was just so much energy, because the slower tempos are like, to a certain extent, it can add a groove and heaviness to a song. And then when you get too fast, it can make it sound like a funeral dirge.
So some of those 77 shows are too fast for me. The Love Gun Tour, those tempos, like, it loses the essence of the song.
Sure. In the 80s, I think Kiss did that.
Just a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. I think Cold Gin was a minute and a half in concert during the 80s.
It's like the Beatles show.
Exactly.
If they didn't like it, they played it fast.
That's right.
But yeah, you got to be careful with that. It's like, but I think we were in Japan and Australia was kind of like, and now it's like, if I with Matt too, it's like it's a pretty good balance. It's like with a little bit laying back, but not like tripping over yourself because
Sure.
you're so slow. So it's
Sure.
it's a kind of it's a very subtle. It's not very of a big space there. It's like maybe a couple clicks before
Right.
it's like,
Mhm.
oh, this is way too slow. We
Right.
gotta go up.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. Now, was the first time you guys played with Ace, was that at the St. Paul show with Gene Simmons?
Yes.
So what do you remember about that night? Because I was at that show also, which was incredible. What an incredible night.
What a great day, man.
Mhm.
I mean, that was just Cheap Trick
Mm-hmm.
is there. We already knew the Cheap Trick guys from they came. Robin and Dax came to the residency a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So we already kind of knew them, and we got to know Rick. And so those guys being there, and with Gene, and then we played with Don Felder.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Ace, we're going to actually play with half of fucking Kiss.
Right, you're playing with half a Kiss. Right, exactly.
Have a sold out baseball stadium,
Mm-hmm.
and and it was just the best day. Everybody's in a fantastic mood. Everybody's having a good time. It was a charity event.
Perfect weather
And
that
everybody
day
was-
outside.
Beautiful
Mhm.
weather.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But we had not met Ace yet, really, and we didn't until he walked on stage to play
Okay.
the gig. So we didn't then do a sound check. And it's like we didn't need that. It was like we're good.
Right,
we were
right.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we just this anticipation of everything was leading up to like Ace walking on stage, because I think Gene and Ace hadn't played together since
17 years. It was
17 years, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that was being yet in more history.
Right. Absolutely.
It was awesome. And so yeah, that was just that whole day and whole night was just, I mean, talk about cloud 11. Insane.
Right. Absolutely.
So we played 5 songs with Ace.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 5. And then so we're walking off. We're all behind. Ace and Gene are kind of buddy hugging. There's a big love there because they roomed together.
Yep.
When they were bunking rooms. There's a really strong bond with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I'd ever been around, I think, casually around a couple of guys in Kiss, not like a meet and greet situation.
Sure.
So we walked and they let them hug, and then we had met PJ for the first time that day too. We didn't know PJ either.
Okay. Oh.
So PJ's Ace's like main kind of guy,
Right.
Assistant guy, tour manager guy. And so Ace is like, PJ's like, Ace, here's the guys in the band. And Ace turns around. I had a record. We all had stuff to sign, obviously. And Ace is like, oh, man, he goes, you guys played great. And he's super complimentary. And we're chatting a little bit and there's a great picture of us. But the picture, because we're fading, there's even better picture than the one somebody took of us.
Okay.
Somebody took one along the side of us at the angle.
Okay.
And it's all 3 of us with Ace.
Uh-huh.
And it's such a great shot. And there's one shot during the show that's all 5 of us
Nice.
up front. Like I think it's during the
Yep.
part
Yep.
and Cold Gin. Excuse me. And it's all 5 of us in a row at the front of the stage. Just, I saw that shot.
Right.
Like,
Right. It's like,
give me a break.
well, I was up against the barricade that night, and one of my memories, obviously, it was to me great to see Ace and Gene together again. That's why I was there. But one of my big memories from that night was the 3 of you guys smiling from ear to ear as I was excited for you guys just watching, like how excited you guys looked during that moment.
Yeah, because when he walks on stage, we had not seen him that day.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't laid eyes on him. So when you watch the video or see photos, and we were like, that's real. Like,
Right.
I was like, oh my God, there's Ace Frehley.
Right.
Oh my God, there he is right there. And he walks, so knuckle bumps, everything. It's just like, this is insane.
Right.
Yeah, it was just great. And he was great, louder than that amp was set on stun. He was playing through. It was just great.
Absolutely.
I remember it's really cool because one thing, it's like when you see your favorite band play or your heroes play and you hear everything, that's of course amazing. But when you hear that sound come directly out of the speaker cabinet, not through a microphone, not through a line of cables, not through EQ, not through power amps, not through a big PA. When you hear it come through, dude, pick strings, pick up cable,
Right.
Marshall head, speaker. I remember getting on my knees and kneeling down for Parasite. Like the main riff. I was like, God, it's like, there it is.
Right.
Right? Nobody plays that like
Nobody plays
that
it like
guy.
that. Right, absolutely.
And even the Cold Gin intro, it always sounds like when Ace plays it, it's like, oh yeah, that's how you play that.
Right.
You may be playing the notes right, but there's something
it's
else
a different
in
feel.
there that he has.
It's a different feel. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So you mentioned before that you also played with Don Felder that night, right? And you guys did a great version of Hotel California that night. A great version.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
How did that come about?
That was Don was going to be there, and he only knew he had a few songs. He only did 3.
Yep.
And he just wondered if Gene. He's like, your guys are kind of like, kind of for hire, and Gene's like, sure. So we played with Don too. We did Take It Easy, which was weird. It's a Glenn Frey song.
Right.
It's like I knew where I was like, okay, we're going to do Victim of Love.
Right.
It's like, it's a Felder tune. He always wanted to sing it.
Right. Exactly.
Here's your chance, Don.
Right.
But we didn't do it. I don't know why we didn't do it. So we did that. We did Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray Vaughan. But doing Take It Easy was cool because Xander came up and sang with us.
Right. Yep.
So that was cool because we're up there. And Robin came and sang the second verse, played acoustic guitar. And then we did Pride and Joy with Rick Nielsen. Rick came up and played. That's cool. And then did Hotel. So
Right.
and that was it. I was like, cool, we're going to do heavy metal. Another Felder tune.
Right. Nope, didn't do that. Exactly.
What? Okay. It's like, oh, sure, we'll do these songs.
Absolutely. Now, when you played with Gene, obviously you weren't playing bass. You played guitar, right, with Gene.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, bass or guitar? Do you have a preference either way?
Man, I'm having so much fun. I like them both. I'm having so much fun playing bass. I volunteered for bass for Ace. When we got the call we were going to do that gig, I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, I'll do it.
Right,
I didn't care. He's playing all the solos anyway.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
True.
And I've always, I don't know, I always kind of liked bass. I was always drawn to McCartney bass lines and Gene bass lines. And it's like, this is going to be great. It's going to be fun. And so I'm really glad I did it. I'm really, really having a good time playing bass. And it's turned into like other work for me. Like I get hired as a bass player now. So I'm like, I'm a bass player now, I guess. At least part-time. But I love both. I love cranking a guitar amp and playing solos, but I also love just thumping eighth notes in front of an SVT. I love them both equally, actually. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And, there is something about some of those classic Kiss bass lines that, to me, are very underrated, right? A lot of people say, oh, Gene is all show and makeup.
Jesus.
I think he was a very underrated bass player, especially in the 70s.
Completely underrated. He does not give himself the credit that he deserves with that, because he would always, when we talked about music with him incessantly. And we would always bring up like, oh, I loved him when whatever, in Ladies' Room when it does this chord progression.
Sure.
He'd go, Bad Company did it first. He never would include Kiss in that conversation of bands like that.
Yeah.
It was always with him. The Beatles, obviously, he's a 60s R&B encyclopedia.
Okay, yeah.
Loves it. And then it was Bad Company, Jeff Beck, Truth, Zeppelin. He loved all that stuff. But he would never. And when we would bring Kiss in, he would no. We got that from himself. He would always tell us where he got all his riffs from, all his licks and his riffs from.
Yeah,
which is always fun. But no, his bass lines. That's one thing about that is like, listen to Kiss. He's moving around all the time and singing while he's doing it too.
Absolutely,
so it's like, a lot of stuff, which ain't easy.
It's not as easy as he makes it and others make it look. Right?
It's a lot easier strumming guitar chords and singing lead than playing bass and singing lead. But I mean, he was such a Beatles and McCartney nut that he loved that kind of bass line, the walking bass line. So he modeled all that after that. And there's such great parts of the song, and like you think about them without that, and you're like, oh man, how it'd totally be different if he was just do.
No, of course.
One of the worst things that happened, I think, to a Kiss tune is on Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, they redid the bass part to Rock and Roll All Night,
Yep.
which they took out the boom,
Right, of course, right.
You know, it's dumb. It's like, why do you do that?
Right, absolutely, I agree. I know, and it's interesting to me because we all know Gene loves to promote. But what you were just saying to me, I've always noticed for years, he'll never promote the band musically. He'll always be like, oh yeah, we write simple songs. Oh yeah, I'm not a great bass player. I'm a very average bass player. And I'm like, dude, no, those bass lines like in Strutter and some of those great old songs, they're great bass lines.
They're really clever.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really, really clever.
Yeah.
And you know, the more you get into their songwriting and their arranging, you realize how clever they were. Like they had the thing I learned that you could take 2 guitars and make them sound like 5 guitars by doing octave power chords.
Okay.
Like in like what Ace would always do. In Strutter, good example.
Right.
Paul's playing the riff down here. Ace is playing power chords way up high, and it sounds massive.
Yep.
And you just have 2 guitar tracks.
Right.
And so they just don't. You know, of course, I mean, the show is, I think, what drove it home, obviously, and is why. Of course, it's both. I think the show is one of the reasons why they are as influential as they are. But if the music wasn't good and if the music wasn't so good, you wouldn't be wearing that shirt right now, and I wouldn't have a gig. I wouldn't have gigs right now.
That's true. Look, when I sit at home and I put on an album, I don't care what the show was. If they're not good songs, I'm not going to play the album.
Exactly. I mean, and just like I listen to the records at home still, right? Because I really, really, really love the music.
Yeah.
I like how it sounds. I like the writing. I like the arranging. I like everything about it.
Yeah.
I like, the way Peter played.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So different for a rock drummer.
Agreed.
And that let Gene play bass the way he played bass, because he couldn't really line up with Peter. It wasn't like that kind of a band where you walked in with the kick drum.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So it kind of made everything work.
Yeah.
And it just had this swingy, swaggery bounce that was just very unique. Not a lot of bands sound like Kiss.
No, I agree. I don't think they get enough credit musically, just my opinion.
I don't either. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly.
And I think that's one of the reasons I loved all those Gene shows that you guys were doing, because there's so many great underappreciated songs, especially from the 70s, but really from all eras. And going to a Gene show, and like you said, whether it was here in Ladies' Room, Two Timer, whatever it was, like on a night of Sweet Pain, I mean, you name it, like on a nightly, like one of my favorite shows I was ever at was when you guys played in Lynn, Massachusetts. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, okay. Great set list.
Yes, amazing set list. And I decided, because I live in New York, I decided that the day before to buy a ticket to that show, because it was 4 or 5 hour drive and I had to work that day. So I was like, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. And when I got there, you did, She's So European that night. Are You Ready? It's My Life, one of my all-time favorite Kiss songs.
That was the first time we did.
It was the first time you did those songs.
Yep. So we had, at that point, so our Australia trip was originally booked for the spring of 18, early spring of 18.
Okay.
So when we were at the By the Lynn show, it was still on schedule for early in the year. And so we had just rehearsed in Nashville. And we had rehearsed all that stuff. That's when we did Love Theme.
Okay, yep.
So we had Love Theme. We had like European. I think that's like a glove.
Not at the Lynn show.
Okay, the Lynn show. Okay, so we did. We about to add that later.
Yeah.
But we kind of just rehearsed a lot of tunes for that Australian tour. And so we are kind of trying out all that stuff. So we like played everything in Lynn.
Yes,
which was fun. It's like. That was one of the ones we look back and was like, that was a good one. That was because the set list was everything we did.
It was. I remember that night. It was the only time I did it on tour. I actually jumped up when he used to let everybody come up and do like I Love It Loud. So I jumped up on stage. I was at one of the microphones on Jeremy's side, and I looked down at the set list and I see Your Opinion. I see It's My Life. I'm like, no way. Now I'm on stage trying to pay attention, to do the hey, and I'm like, holy shit, is that really It's My Life? Oh my God. And I'm like in a panic up there on stage saying, I better be right. And so I get back to my seat and I'm like, I'm sure I misread that. Yeah. So that was a great night. And then Gary Chacon jumped up on stage and did Strutter with you guys that night also.
Yeah, it was Jeremy's birthday show. So Gary and Pat came from Extreme, and Gary jumped up. Yeah, they're super cool guys.
Yeah.
And that was another moment, like,
Yeah.
16-year-old Phil
Right.
with Gary Sharon up here.
Right.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Right. And you guys did
But
Strata,
yeah,
which he did with Extreme on Kiss My Ass. So to me, it was great
yep.
to hear him singing that. I'm like,
I
that's
don't know
cool.
if we did that one again. We made that one time we did Strutter was that show maybe.
It's the only time I saw you guys do it in the 7 shows.
Yeah.
That was the one and only.
Yeah,
So,
that was worked out ahead of time. We thought it was cool because he did it on the record.
Exactly.
So that was a fun one to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was Jared's birthday show, and that was good. Yeah, we had just rehearsed too, and that was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
had good buddies from Boston there that night too.
Yeah, I had seen Gary that night before the show in the hallway area, and I went over, said hello, took a picture with him. I said, "Oh, are you going to get up there and play?" He's like, "I hope so. I don't know for sure." I'm like, "What do you mean you hope so? You got to go play Strutter with these guys." So I was, again, great show, great night that was.
Yeah, that was one that sticks out. I've got a DVD of that somewhere.
Yeah, me too.
I've got some a lot of the Kiss expos are fun now when we go because we go to all the DVD sellers.
Yep.
And they're like, we'll thumb through it and they'll see who we are and let us hand us our shows.
Nice. Well, you guys deserve it.
Walk back with a stack of shows for whoever.
Right.
So that's always fun.
Well, you deserve it. So, what do you remember about the first show you guys did? It was more like a private thing in Vancouver, I think, right?
It was in Vancouver. Yes, it wasn't like in front of Kiss fans. Like the first one of those we did was at Cleveland at the Agora Ballroom.
Yep.
But this one was kind of a big thing. Shatner was there. Prime Minister Trudeau was there. His mother, Maria Shriver. Gene was the keynote speaker. It was this big kind of CEO conference. YPO, Young Professionals Organization.
Okay.
That's what it was called. Big, huge thing. And so Gene was the keynote speaker. And they wanted him to do a few songs at the event,
right? And
then also at like a mixer thing in a hotel ballroom. So the first one was that, and so that's why we did all those R&B covers.
I was gonna say you did a bunch of covers that night, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't have really dug a lot of obscure Kiss tunes.
They wouldn't have cared if you played "Ladies in Waiting."
Exactly, they probably didn't even know some of the bigger Kiss songs. To be honest with you.
Of course, that makes sense.
But we had a few. We had a few of those tunes, but the show is not what I remember.
Okay.
I remember an incident backstage that kind of set the tone for the entire time with Gene that let everybody know what kind of tour this is going to be.
Okay.
So since it isn't like a venue, our backstage is pipe and drape, right? Black curtains around. So we're about to go on to the big event, like the big thing that will only like about 3 songs, I think, the big deal. So I'm back there in the dressing room, and I'm on my knees on the ground, and my hair's in my face. I'm in my backpack getting my bracelets or something out, ready for something I was wearing for the show, my accoutrement. So I'm digging out of the bag, and apparently I'm really focused on what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I'm here. All of a sudden, from that direction, Jeremy goes, "Hey, Phil." I look up. Gene's bare ass is this far from my face. So
that's great.
So yeah, I heard how it happened was I was on my knees getting down. Gene walks in the room, gonna say something, sees me, and goes for his pants. Like that's where he went immediately. Right. That's the last thing I would ever do.
Oh, no.
That's the first thing he does.
That's the first thing.
Guys go. Of course, somebody gets their phones out.
Oh, no.
I'm sitting there, then Jared sets me up, and she's like, "What the fuck are you on the floor?" And I'm like, "Get my fucking bracelets out." It's like, what does this mean? That means ass in my face? And so we're all dying laughing. I'm as red as a beet,
Of course,
and so that set the tone for everything. Like we knew then, and we learned after, don't leave your food or drink around Gene if you're going to leave. You're going to get an empty salt thing in your coffee or Tabasco sauce, or he's going to screw your food somehow.
Right.
He's going to do something. He would always do something. But yeah, it was that's my Vancouver memory.
That's so funny. So, a lot of people have this perception of Gene being like this tough guy, a pain in the ass. But from everybody I talk to, he's actually a lot of fun behind the scenes and very relaxed and down to earth and really little ego, which is so opposite of his public persona.
He was the easiest guy to hang around and to be with. Like, I've done a lot of so-called artist gigs where it's like you back up somebody. I've never I've never been in one of those gigs with somebody that was so easy to be around. Nobody is as near as huge as a celebrity as he is. And I've never been treated better than by him. Just
That's
absolutely in that kind of a situation where it seemed like
right, of course. Yeah, I know what you mean.
he was just the best. He treated us like peers. And when we only rehearsed a couple times, but when we did rehearse and it'd come time to try to end something, he'd be like, how should we end this? You know, and we'd try it. It'd work. It didn't matter what, if we had an idea, and with songs that we would suggest. That's how all the songs got in there, was mostly because of us.
We all knew, the Kiss fans knew that.
Yeah. And then Gene got into it too, and he'd throw some things in there too. And like, Are You Ready? And It's My Life, I think were his pick, because they were vault. And
right, sure.
Like, good, It's My Life. People have been wanting to hear It's My Life forever. So that was a great one.
100%. Is there anything that you guys suggested that he said no to?
Rockin' in the USA, but we ended up doing that in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
A part of it.
Okay.
We ended up doing the intro and then a verse and a chorus, because after a certain time, we would just start doing pieces of songs. Like we'd take little requests from the audience, and you really couldn't stump us.
Right, of course. Right.
Really. So we'd start playing it, and then he'd sing, and we'd do part of Unholy that way or something. We never did Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, and that was the one I wanted to do. We never did that one or Larger Than Life.
And the one I was always hoping for was See You in Your Dreams as well. I love that song.
We did mess with that one at rehearsal.
Did you really?
And I think we were doing the solo album version.
Okay, nice.
We did that. I think we may have played through Burning Up with Fever.
Ooh, okay.
Like not even finished it, just like just starting it and seeing how it goes, and we didn't finish it. We did Acrobat at rehearsal.
Wow. Oh man, I wish I was at the rehearsals.
because we were working up Love Theme, because that Love Theme was mine.
Okay.
Because I thought if we can truncate it a little bit and we can make it an intro to War Machine or something.
Right.
And I said, hey, here's an idea. Like, what if we do this? And he was like, sure. And I remember when we worked it out, he was like, young man, good idea. Thanks. I think we played it fully and then went into Acrobat. And then we all knew Acrobat anyway. We all knew the words because we'd all played it before, and just, and so we played that.
Right.
We would do everything.
Absolutely.
But no, he was so much fun. And another thing about Gene is pretty much every show, we would always give him his own dressing room or trailer if it was an outdoor show, because he always had different meet and greets, and he always had a different schedule than we did. So we were always respectful of that, and always gave him his own space. So it never failed. Every time, and we'd get there and we'd get done with sound check, or if he just showed up, we'd be in our room and we'd what are you guys doing in here for? I got way more places to sit out in my room.
Oh wow.
So he'd like bring us in his room, or he would sit, if we had the bigger room, he'd sit in ours or our trailer, and we'd just sit and talk and have catering, and he was great. He just he liked hanging out. He liked being one of the guys in the band. Right. We always traveled together. We always rode from the airport. It was always us, because there was no crew. It was only us, the five of us. Oh, wow. So we were together, all the time. Right. And we'd eat breakfast in the hotel together. We'd, if we had a night off, we'd go out to eat together. We'd always do stuff.
So that pretty much blows up the "Don't Meet Your Heroes" whole idea, right?
Oh my God, man, just great. And Ace is fantastic too. It's like both of those have been like, oh man, this is great. This is really, really cool.
Right, absolutely.
And like the very first meeting with Gene, like the very first rehearsal, couldn't have been cooler. Walked in immediately and put us at ease, and was being goofy, and then we started playing. Then he kind of learned that we could, all of these guys can actually play and sing pretty well. Then he was kind of relaxed. He was always relaxed anyway, but when he knew he had a pretty hot band, right? In addition to guys, and you could hang out. There's no dumb burnouts in the group.
Right.
We're all pretty funny, quick and smart. We can all have a conversation, and so he liked that. And it was always just really easy to be around. He didn't take up like any space in the room. I've been around people that are, he's by far the biggest celebrity that I've played for. Everybody knows Gene because the TV show.
Right, of course, right.
And he just, other people have, just like, oh, they take up so much space.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene was just content just to sit around and watch YouTube on his phone. And just like, have you guys seen this?
Right.
It's like it's like a Mike Tyson. Like a Mike Tyson montage. So it's funny. Just the other day, all the band got a random email from Gene.
Okay.
It was a clip of us playing in Czech Republic with Doro Pesh.
Uh-huh.
It was
Okay.
just out of nowhere. And it made me realize how much this time off is killing him.
I'm sure.
If there's one guy that's not enjoying this time off, it's
him. Yeah, he doesn't like to sit still, so I'm sure it's driving him crazy.
He never did. So he hated vacation, never took them, and he was always just always working. His work ethic, even in front of us, was very inspiring and all that. But no, he couldn't have been better. He was really, really great.
Do you think when Kiss is done that he'd do more solo shows? Has he ever said anything to you guys?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm looking forward to getting the band together.
Great news.
Doing some more shows, you guys. So yeah. But I mean, now that's put off another year, I guess.
Of course,
right. I guess the last Kiss show is 2022.
I'm sure it'll probably be changed to 2022.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So he's. Yeah. But yes, we all think, according to him, he's looking forward to doing some more shows. So
that's awesome news.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I'd love to.
That's awesome. So the one I have to ask you about, and I commented online about this, and you and Jeremy both commented. You know where I'm going. When You Wish Upon a Star. I've been looking for this. First off, how did you guys perform that? Because when I spoke with Jeremy like 6 months ago, I said to him, I've heard rumors. Is it true? And he was like, yes, it's true. Can we stop the conversation? I'm like, yeah. I'm so fascinated by this.
To answer your question, how he performed it, not very well. Okay. It was his, because what I always thought would be great was, at the ending of the show, that gets played over the PA while we're kind of leaving.
Right.
What a great thing. And that happened in Australia.
Okay.
But it never happened anywhere else. And then so he gets the idea, and we play it, and I go, oh yeah, like over the PA as we're leaving. I've wanted to do the whole time. He's like, no. Like I was like, wait, what? You
live? Like yes.
Huh? And so he goes, yeah, just turn the volume on the guitars down and play the chords, and I'll sing it. It was great. I was like, so we're going to do rock and roll all night. Get everybody in the venue off the stage.
Right.
And then we're going to play which one to start. Okay. And so we went through the chords, and it didn't really even sound right.
Right.
Then.
Right.
And, because we're trying to do guitars now. Of course, the arrangement, this is lush string arrangement.
Sure, exactly.
There's chords and there's movement in the chords that we can't really do, So we're doing our best that we get done. It was just like, that didn't work.
Never again.
No, I mean, that was like the only suggestion that he made that didn't work. Because he made a few other things, like set changes, that he changed the set and make the set order, and we look at it and go, whatever. And then we do the show and go, okay, that was awesome.
Right.
I remember we totally moved everything around in Australia. Totally did the set in a different order. And we were like, what? I think opening was Shout It Out Loud or something. Okay. It was a whole different order, like whatever. And then it just killed. It was just like, it had the best order, the best flow. Shout It Out's a great opener.
Absolutely.
Right into something. I forget what it was right into, but it was a great order. And they're like, yeah, I guess 50 years in the business, that teaches something.
Right. But it's funny that you say that, though, because I was at the Cleveland show, the first public show, and that was the only show I can remember that you guys opened with Radioactive. You did it other nights on the tour, and I thought that was so cool. You had the music from the beginning of the solo album, and then you hear the hi-hats, and you rip right into it. I'm like, yeah, this is good. And I'd seen Kiss do it on the cruise, so it's not like I hadn't seen Kiss do it. I saw Kiss on the Dynasty tour, so I've seen that song live. Yeah. And I was like, this is friggin' awesome. This is why I drove 7 hours. And then you never did it that way again. I was like, oh.
I know that, not because of us. We
loved of course.
Gene wanted to flip the G, because we did. Because I love Deuce as second song.
Me too.
I think was on
Hot in the Shade. They did it as the second song.
Yeah, that one on Revenge was the second song or not?
Revenge was the second song after Creatures of the Night. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was a great 1-2 punch.
Agreed.
I thought.
Agreed.
Great.
Hot in the Shade. It was I Stole Your Love and then Deuce, So
yeah.
So seeing Radioactive then Deuce, I'm like, that's a great opening for a Gene show.
Because we always use the oh, ha 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 thing from the solo record for the opening. So it was like, this is going to be fucking great.
Yes, I thought it was.
I think it was. I'm not trying to do this, but I think it was my idea that I wanted that was my order.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, we got to go from this and we got to go into Radioactive.
Right.
And then into Deuce. It's like, because I love the second tune.
Agreed.
Deuce, great. And so we did See You Tonight that night.
Yes, you did. Yep. And Got Love for Sale and Almost Human. That was another great show.
Was in there. Yeah.
Charisma was there.
That was a great show.
Yes, it was.
That was a great show. That night is what turned 5 shows into 2 years of work all over the world.
Right. Well, at first they were just supposed to be with Wizard World, right? Wasn't it part of the whole Wizard World? It was just a handful of shows.
Only 5,
right.
And then that was when we broke the internet and promoters started calling.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was always the way we wanted to open the show.
Yeah.
After Cleveland too.
Right. Absolutely.
But he was like, Deuce is just a great opener, and Deuce is a great opener.
It is. But
he really got used to the 3 guitar thing because we would try to do things dynamically, like bring one guy in and then one guy, and make it like that. But then just no, all 3 up front.
Right.
And it's like he loved the 3 of us playing things together. Like, Deuce, we ended up doing all 3 of us. War Machine, all 3 of us. All these things we were trying to layer. He's like, nope, fuck it, go.
Right.
All go together. So,
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So shifting gears then away from Kiss, you're now also playing in Accept, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
As I did my first work with Accept in 2017 at Wacken, the big German metal festival. I was only a small part of that show. They headlined one of the nights, and it was a big deal. It's a full 2-hour headline thing, and their show was in segments.
Okay.
The first part was just Accept, 30 minutes. And then the second part was Wolf's Headbanger Symphony. Wolf had done a solo record that was a classical project. And it was classical pieces that were arranged for a 4-piece metal band with symphony orchestra. Wow. So it was the 4-piece metal band with symphony orchestra playing like Mozart, Vivaldi, and things like that. And then so that was it. And then the rest of that show was Accept with the orchestra playing Accept songs. Okay. So that was my part was the 30 minutes in the middle there, and then I was done. Okay. And then so spring of 2019, Accept has a symphonic terror tour of Europe and Eastern Europe planned, where it's going to be, Accept tour with Mark, the Accept songs of Accept band, touring Europe and Eastern Europe, using a different symphony in every city.
Oh, okay.
A smaller one. Wacken was 80-piece,
right.
huge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's going to be about 40 pieces, like half size. And so they called me to do that again. It's Uwe, their guitar player, had a conflict. I think it was he had a motorcycle wreck, and mobility was an issue for him, and the travel was an issue for him at the time. So they called me. I already knew most of the classical stuff anyway. And he said, "Can you do that?" And that same day they called me was the day that we found out that the Alice Cooper Ace Frehley tour wasn't happening.
Oh, wow.
So my entire spring opened wide up. I'm like, I got nothing but space. What
absolutely.
And so it was great. So that tour happened, and it was 2-3 week legs. And that was the first time I'd played Accept songs with those guys, because it was half classical, half Accept songs. And just got along. I fit in well, and Wolf and I got along well, played well together. He liked the fact that I was so into doing all the choreography and stuff, which is a huge part of their stage show. Sure. The first vision of Accept I can remember is watching Headbangers Ball and his Balls to the Wall, and it's 2 flying V's.
Right.
It's like, that's what I remember, is that in the air and all that stuff. And so he loved that I was so into doing that and could pull that off with him and play well with him, and the crew was great. So I think that tour was wrapped up, and I had already come home, and they had stayed over to do some shows just without the symphony. And then when I think Wolf got home, we went and had lunch at this Thai place we always used to go to, and he asked me to join then.
Okay.
He's like, no, we're gonna have 3 guitar players.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm used to this. I can do this.
Right. I got experience in this area.
I've got experience in this thing. So yeah, it was cool. And then we only had a couple. Only had a handful of shows in South America with the 6-pack as we call it now. But yeah, so we're Japan's booked for January now. So with Accept, so
yeah. So I was going to say when COVID's done, you're going to go back to touring with them.
Yeah. The record's being worked on right now.
Excellent.
So that's still going to happen.
Okay.
I think sometime this year. So I mean, some of it's done.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm sure. Like I know some things are done. I'm not sure if all songs are done yet, but things are being worked. I think we're going to reconvene back at the studio at some point next month or August maybe, and do some more work on it. We've all kind of been working on our own. We can do that now. So, but yeah, so that's hopefully going to be released this year, and then 2021 will be full on Accept album cycle tour.
Right.
Maybe even plus some because we missed so much touring this year.
So then how are you going to juggle if Accept is doing a full-on tour and if Ace is touring? Maybe you get them together on one bill, but if not, what are you going to do?
That happened once. In Houston, I did double duty.
Right.
That was great. How that works is Accept is priority.
Okay.
So if that happens, I've got to either get a sub, and if it happens a lot, I mean, it's up to those guys if they want to get another guys. I totally understand. I don't want to jump back and forth. But I was so lucky last year. I would get home from a tour with Accept, have one day to do laundry and repack, and literally go out the next day with Ace. It worked. One time I didn't leave the airport. I think one show I got home and to Nashville and just checked my bag and went right back upstairs and checked and rechecked the guys for an Ace run. I was really lucky. The back half of last year was so great. I was working my ass off, and it was so good. Right. It was so lucky how all that worked out. It was great. Well, so hopefully it'll work out like that in 2021. Right. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll do as many gigs as I possibly can feasibly do. I never turn down work.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
I hate it.
Before, when we first started chatting, you were mentioning the green screen off to the side, and you mentioned the merchandise. So for those who maybe aren't aware of what you do with that, why don't you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I started it 5 years ago, I think. It's called Mutt Merch, and it's dog and music themed. Now just clothing, but very soon it's going to be mugs, coasters, pillowcases, blankets, all kinds of stuff we're going to have. Dog collars, dog bowls. Tons of stuff. But we got Black Labbath, Bones and Noses, Grateful Dane. What are some of the good ones I have? Aerosniff, Muttley Chew, Neuterhead. So yeah, we got a bunch of good designs. So the website is muttmerch.com. Okay. Right now, it's only shirts for humans and dogs. Okay. But coming up, of course, we're going to have dog and human shirts, but more styles, more colors, and a ton of new products. Okay. So, and you said there's a website to order that? Yeah, muttmerch.com. Okay. But I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me on there and get the shop there as well. So. Right. And then you're also selling guitar picks and T-shirts with the guys as well, right? Yeah, I got guitar. Actually, Ed, our good friend Ed at Click Tee, has a Talisman shirt he's selling. It has me and Ryan and Jeremy's lovely faces on it. You can get that. Yeah. You can actually get that on whatever you want. You can get that on a face mask if you want. Oh, really? Okay, I didn't realize that. One of my friends in Germany has a pillow, so she sleeps with the towels on every night. All right. And I got guitar pick packs for sale. So if anybody's interested in any of that stuff, I also am on all the social media sites as well. Philip with one L, S in front of house, Philip Shouse. Find me and we'll do that. I should probably do another. Thanks for the idea, Mike. I can do a commercial for the pick packs with that. You should. Absolutely. You definitely should. Absolutely. Because the picks are cool. They're really cool. So. Yeah, we all kind of got them at the same time. Yep. And the Kiss fans love them because they're kind of like Kiss cards.
Exactly. Yep.
The backing, we kind of took the little background of the Kiss cards
Yep.
and used that. And we put stats in the back like the Kiss cards do and baseball cards. So, yeah, they're fun. They're real fun.
Yeah, very cool. So a non-music question, right? And then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
I think on your Facebook site, there's a picture of you and Chewbacca, which I love. Are you a big Star Wars fan?
Massive. Massive. So at the end of January, I just wrapped up this tour with a Swedish band called Lucifer.
Uh-huh.
They're on the Kiss cruise.
Yeah.
But I think a couple of years ago. I met them there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I played bass. I filled in on bass for them, and it ended in Orlando.
Okay.
And so I found this to be the best opportunity to stay an extra couple days and go to Galaxy's Edge.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
And it's one of the most fun days I've ever had. Have you gone?
Yeah, I'm a season pass holder at Disney, so I went.
You and PJ both.
I went to a preview before it opened, and my daughter was working there last year, so she was like, "Dad, you gotta come. You love Star Wars. You're gonna love this." So I was at the preview. I went on the Millennium Falcon ride 7 times that day. Every seat. I was like, this is freaking awesome.
Have you got to do Rise of the Resistance?
I did that in January before Disney closed, which was...
Me too.
Oh, okay, cool.
I went late January.
Okay.
That's when I went.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that insane busy. It was beautiful weather.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was just all you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I'm 44. Mm-hmm. All I wanted to do as a kid is crawl inside those Star Wars play sets that I had. The Millennium Falcon, the Dagobah thing. It's all I wanted to do was get in there, and you can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
it's just like so many dreams came true. It was just like what the cool thing about it is Disney does such a fantastic job of this. Mm-hmm. When you walk in the park, you're not on planet Earth anymore.
No, you're not. No, exactly.
You're really not.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody speaks to you in Earth terms. Mm-hmm. You pay for things in units.
Yep, exactly. I love the soda bottles they have.
The soda bottles they have, and the blue milk.
Yes, and the green milk they have. Yep.
The blue and green milk. When you get a photo taken, it's a holoscan.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, it's like all those things, and just not that, but just the surroundings. Mm-hmm. I mean, and just the sky. You can't see any actual other buildings from where you are.
Exactly.
All you see is the skyline of the planet that you're on.
Absolutely.
And the Smuggler's Run, Millennium Falcon ride, and the Falcon, and the Rise of the Resistance. When you get kidnapped and the door opens and you're in an Imperial Destroyer.
Yes, and there's all those stormtroopers.
50 stormtroopers standing there.
Absolutely.
I'm tearing up talking about this.
Yes, absolutely.
It was just like, there's kids everywhere, and the thing opens, and I go, holy shit. You can't help it. It looks just like the movie.
Absolutely.
And it's just, I just walked around the park, just 9 hours.
Yep.
You know, because you get there so early to get in line,
exactly.
the digital line.
Yep, absolutely.
But I didn't do so. PJ kind of told me. PJ's a season pass holder there too.
Okay.
He's been countless times.
Okay.
And so, but he helped me out with the app and where to stay. I stayed close to Disney Springs. And,
okay, nice.
And had a night there. That was a lot of fun. And just had the fucking best time.
No, it's a load of fun. And what did you think of the new movies? Are you a fan of the movies, or you only like?
I liked them. I really liked them. I liked. I probably liked Rogue One the best.
Okay. Yep.
All of the new batch.
Okay.
But I loved Solo.
Okay. Oh, really? See that?
I don't get
that one. I like.
I really liked it. To me,
it
was like a Douglas Fairbanks Jr. swashbuckler movie.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because Solo is that kind of a dashing, handsome, rough around the edges character.
Absolutely.
Like that. And so like, that could have been a pirate movie like that.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. I thought the guy that played him was great. Mm-hmm. I thought the young Lando Calrissian was fucking awesome.
Yep, he was very good.
That was great. I liked the story. I liked how they made everything. I liked how they fill in the gaps.
Right, absolutely.
I love that, and I did 7, 8, 9 just merely for being in line and sealing up the story very nice. Mm-hmm. I love The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Absolutely.
So I can't wait for that part 2 to come out. That's one of the coolest things in the franchise.
Yeah, I agree. And I have a whole theory on the Mandalorian, which only Star Wars geeks will understand this. So if Kiss fans, you can shut this off if you're not in Star Wars. I don't care. But to me, as we know, in Episode 9, the Emperor came back, right? And they were trying to like bring him back to life. I'm convinced that in the Mandalorian, they have captured or trying to capture Baby Yoda to try to suck the life from him and put it into the Emperor. Pure speculation on my part.
Wow, that's a good
pure speculation.
Because this one does take place. It's
between episodes 6 and 7.
And 7, okay.
Yeah, between episodes 6 and 7. So
in another story.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
but I'm always like, why are they after Baby Yoda? What are they trying to get from him? And then one day I was like, they're trying to get the midichlorians, the life from him, to suck it out and put it into the Emperor to bring him back to life. Pure speculation. I don't know if this is really the storyline, but this is what I've dreamt up is going to happen, how they're going to bring it all together.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Because it was the Emperor in that first couple episodes that are chasing him. So
right.
The Empire.
Right.
Or not the Empire, it was the First Order.
Right, exactly. So look, pure speculation, but and then where do you stand on The Last Jedi? And so many people disliked it. It sounds like you're a fan of it.
I liked it.
Me too.
I mean, I liked it. The acting is just wooden in all the movies.
Okay.
And for some reason, I mean, he even gets great actors. I mean, somehow he managed to let Ewan McGregor act very well in the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie Portman was like given a sedative. I mean, I'm not blaming her on Natalie Portman. I'm sure she was directed that way.
Of course. And she's a great actress, but just not for Star Wars.
She got a shot of Dilaudid before they started. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't her. It was just, I'm sure she was directed. Samuel L. Jackson.
Right.
Reading, so it's got to be a directing thing.
Yep.
So acting aside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the story's great. I love how they wrote the extra parts. Like I love how the movies may not be great, but the prequels I like how they filled in the gaps and they made everything kind of lead up. Yeah. And
I love Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I think that's
I do too.
The whole transformation of Anakin into Darth Vader. I think it's and you said it before. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan is amazing to me in that movie. Absolutely amazing.
I hope they still do the Obi-Wan side
Me too.
story.
Yes.
I hope that Solo, that the reviews didn't blow it. I hope they at least do a movie or a show.
They're supposed to do a TV show. Supposedly Ewan is signed for it, and it's supposed to be, I think, January of next year. But now with this year, who the hell knows?
Oh yeah.
On Disney Plus.
When's Mandalorian 2?
I think
it's this year, right?
Yeah, I think it's October, and I read that they had finished pretty much all the filming, and the only thing they had left was like the editing, which they could do from homes and whatever. So supposedly it's still coming out in October, from what I read. Good.
I liked how I think a lot of the big studios like that kind of bumped up some of the big shows. Mm-hmm. I think ESPN did that with The Last Dance.
Yep.
I think it was supposed to be later, but they went, let's give something people to watch, that was awesome.
Right. Okay.
Did you see that?
No, I haven't. I have not.
Oh, man.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
It brought back so many memories.
Really?
It's the Bulls, it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
About the Bulls' reign.
Right.
And it brought back so many great memories of watching those guys play.
Right.
And it was just so much fun. So that was pretty cool. And if they've got something sitting there done, then ESPN went, people are dying for entertainment. Let's put this out.
Especially sports entertainment right now.
Yeah. Right. And there's no sports.
Right.
That was a good move on their part.
Absolutely.
That was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. People like that stepping up and going, okay, we had this held, but screw it.
Right.
Let's go ahead and release it.
Well, hopefully sometime soon we can get back to concerts. Like you said, I think we started this with, it's probably a little too soon, but hopefully next year things could start ramping back up and we could see some live acts again.
I mean, I think I think we're going to see some kind of shows this year. Mm-hmm. Maybe like fall or late fall. Who knows? Maybe everything's changing so fast because we're all in new territory and everybody's learning. That's why everything's changing so fast. Everything's in constant flux. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Maybe August will happen. Mm-hmm. Because it says, in the thing, it says there are going to be socially distanced shows, and we'll see if that can work. But even if those don't, and if it's a little bit soon, I do think that sometime this year we'll have some sort of, maybe not a full-fledged touring thing, but you know, some shows will come back, I think.
Right. I was talking to the bass player from Kix, and he was saying that promoters have approached them. They want to do like 1,500 seaters, but only sell 300 tickets. But he was saying the promoters are like, oh, but we only want to pay you like 20% of what you normally would. And he's like, no, the second we take 20% now, they'll expect that next year.
Exactly.
Right.
You can't do it. I mean, to do a 30% capacity venue, you got to jack up the ticket prices.
Of course. Unfortunately, but that's what you have to do. Right.
It's not fair to,
no, it's not.
to the people, you know, the concert goers.
Right.
And it isn't fair at all for the bands to have to, you know, to knock down a guarantee price. So it's going to be it'll be a thing.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but hopefully we can see you guys out on the road in 2021 or late 2020. So anything else we didn't cover today that you wanted to, hey, I want to make sure people know about this?
Man, I don't think so. We got Mutt merch. We got stupid green screen videos. We got Star Wars. We got everything.
Absolutely. Well, Phil, I want to thank you for your time. Very generous of you to spend over an hour and a half with me. I appreciate it. And
all good, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. Your videos are the kind of the videos that when we know you were at a show, and we want to find that someone was like, "Well, Mike Brunn was there." Like, go on YouTube. So your shows are like the ones we go look for.
Well, thank you. I remember the first time Jeremy told me that. I'm like, really, like me, really? And he's like,
it was because Jeremy. I forget what show it was that we're talking about, but like at the beginning, it was like he said, "Oh yeah, this guy Mike Brunn was there. There's a podcast. He's got all of them,
right,
and they're all good. You don't zoom in on Gene,
right."
Or
no, that's foreign to me.
You actually,
that's foreign.
Me, you know?
Right.
You get the whole band in, which is nice for us guys. So we appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it because look, I love the band, I love the music, and they were always exciting shows. So to me, it's not only about Ace and not only about Gene. It was the whole thing, and that's what I always try to capture. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Man. Yeah, thanks for documenting.
No, awesome, thank you, and like I said, I look forward to seeing you hopefully on the road much sooner rather than later.
Likewise, sir. Likewise.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, take it easy. Thanks, everybody.
See you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Alrighty, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Phil Shouse. I'd like to take a moment and thank Phil for being really generous with his time. I had a lot of fun during our chat and didn't even realize how much time was going by. Thanks, Phil. I also have to say that our conversation about Star Wars was one of my favorite moments in all of the podcast episodes I've done. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you later.